looking at a Leo full moon, and there are different names for the full moons. And you probably heard some of them. What comes to mind are the weird ones, of course, which is like the full worm moon, and I think there's one called the beaver moon. But this Leo full moon is called the full wolf moon. And I'm going to use the idea of the wolf and the lion to sort of get us into the thought of Aquarius and Leo, because that's what we're really talking about in this period, beyond just a few days of the full moon. When you think about a wolf, there's this inherent in-your-face defiance of false authority. The wolf pack has an alpha, and the alpha isn't just somebody that's like, oh yeah, cool, I'll go be the alpha. I don't know, I'm not really doing much right now. No, the alpha wolf has to fight for it, want it, and keep it somehow. And just it's something that they have to maintain, and it's difficult to be the alpha. They have to deserve it, basically. There are no little participation trophies going out for the wolves that don't make it. Either you are or you're not. This independence, this freedom that wolves have, it's interesting because they're not just by themselves, they're pack animals. Within that pack, they have their independence that's unique. Just a little sidebar, just quickly, because there's some trivia, it's fun. The wolf pack, I was wondering, where did it come from other than wolves? Wolf pack was originally the collective noun for German U-boats during World War II. And after the war, the term became used by tabloids and sociologists to describe groups of feral teenagers that acted in the antisocial manner typical of Nazi submarines. So there's that little factoid for you. We've got wolf packs, but what about the lone wolf? You know, that's also a term used for people, makes you think it's kind of cool, you know, James Dean feeling of a lone wolf. But let's think about it logically. Wolves live in packs because it's easier to survive. If a wolf gets hurt, then the rest of the pack can still go out and hunt. That wolf's not going to die. They'll bring back some food and then they can get better. But if a wolf is by itself and hurt, things aren't looking so good for that wolf. I have been face to face with a wolf once, and it was a surprise. I did not expect to be eye to eye with a wolf. We have some horseback people down the street, and I'm like, oh, it'd be fun to give it a try. Why not? It was Sagittarian time for me, and I felt like riding a horse. I don't know. I've never been a horse person, but anyway, felt like doing it. So we go there, and the lady, we meet her. She's showing us the horses. And all of a sudden, I feel like this weird primal feeling. Like I have never felt this before. I have not felt it since. I knew in some way that something was watching me, a predator. And I looked to the left, and there was a freaking wolf about 20 feet away, a little bit behind a tree. And the shoulders were up, the head was down, the eyes were direct, and so dang intense. It was startling and strange. And I said to the lady, I'm like, was that a wolf? And she's like, oh yeah, I didn't mention the wolf. No, didn't. I foster wolves like it was a dog, and it literally is not a dog. I'll tell you that much. I love dogs, but this was not a dog. So this whole time she's taking us to these different horse areas. That animal stalked us the whole entire way and kept watching us. It was so weird. What's the point of telling you that story? The point is that the wolf was alone, and I could feel that it was even more intense and feeling vulnerable and watching that lady as if she was the wolf pack, maybe, or maybe the horses. I don't know. The poor thing was confused. Now, that was my wolf experience. I don't have too much else to say about wolves other than that was really weird. But we do have coyotes, and I don't feel the same way about coyotes. I think coyotes are kind of just cool creatures. There are nights, especially when the moon is full, when I go outside, and it is a symphony of coyotes. It is so cool to listen to their howls and just yipping and yapping, and they start with one or two, and then all of a sudden there's how many coyotes are out there. The wolf or the coyote is a pack animal. Within their collective group, they have to be strong and independent. Even if there's a hurt one or sick one, if they don't get better, they're going to get left behind. I mean, you're only as strong as your weakest member in a group. When they're alone or they're not led in a proper way, they become unbalanced and weird. And this is Aquarian energy. basically. We think about Aquarius, it can get a lot of times thought of, oh, humanitarian, age of Aquarius, free, everybody's equal and all this stuff. Yeah, fine. But it's made up of strong, independent individuals that work as a collective to make things better. There's work to it, right? Saturn rules Aquarius. There's some work that must be done, a requirement. This whole wolf thing I'm talking about in Aquarius, this is a Leo full moon. Okay, let me see if I can segue here well. So every full moon is illuminated by the sun. Okay, that makes sense because the moon has no inherent light of its own. The light that's illuminating the full moon in this Leo experience is the opposite side. It's Aquarian. We are in Aquarius season. Leo is like having a cameo in Aquarius season, being like, oh yeah, don't forget, you have to have this counterbalance. This is your time, Aquarius, but don't forget about me. That's what every kind of full moon feels like to me. It's just like a little reminder. It's not the star necessarily, but it's a reminder. Leo represents leaders, and Aquarius is the collective. And Aquarius may just want to remove all the leaders that are insufficient, that aren't meeting the alpha criterion. When you don't have a good alpha, when you don't have a good leader, then the whole collective can't get that far. So the problem is that it's hard to find good leaders because there's a lot of corruption within power, and it's easy for the ego to take over, and we're humans. And the truth is, though, there are great, wonderful people out there that can be leaders, regardless of outside leadership. That's always going to be an issue. There's a call to our own inner leader, our own inner lion, and our own inner wolf during this full moon time, because we all have Leo energy, we all have Aquarius energy, just everybody has it, because we all have 12 signs in our lives, in our archetypes of our human experience. So how are you leading yourself is the question, with courage and heartfelt life and love and all that stuff. At its most elevated frequency, Leo embodies creativity, but a lot of times that creativity is stifled because of fear of rejection, or maybe thinking it's egoic or selfish to pursue something that brings you joy and bliss and is your personal creative expression. Like to be almost like a martyr, like, okay, I just won't do that thing that I love because people will think I'm being selfish. No, enough of that. On the other side, there's that Aquarius that's just like, rebel, do your thing. So when those two things are blended together, you can authentically share that and have your light be so much brighter by not having that fear of rejection or fear. Like, who cares at the end? If you're going to let fear stop you, you're never going to do the thing. It's the beginning of a new year. Let's be bold, courageous. Let's shine some light here. Another thing I love about Leo energy is this connection to childlike wonder. There are clues there from your childhood to what did you like to do? What did you like to pursue? What is it that you would do if nobody would say, you're doing that? Are you sure you should do that? That's what I'm talking about. This is a period where you can lead yourself through this fearless pursuit of childlike bliss and be confident in your pursuit. Don't let anybody stop you. And caring about outside judgments, just Aquarius style, I don't care. And putting those experiences to shine a light. And the reason that's all important is to encourage other people, in the collective, to also be strong, independent collaborators and authentically express a true happiness. If we're happy, we can give happy to other people. If we're not, we can't. The Sabian symbols for this Leo full moon, they're interesting. Can be a little clever with these. For the moon, it's at Leo 6. The symbol for that is an old-fashioned woman and an up-to-date girl. Or the way that Rudyard called it was a conservative, old-fashioned lady is confronted by a hippie girl. Kind of dates it a little bit. When we move forward into a new reality, there are different morals, different values. Things are changing. There's an evolutionary, revolutionary style that's coming through, and we can be part of it. We can be part of it in our own way. And nothing is permanent. Nothing lasts forever. Nothing. So It's this time for a switch. It's a time for a change. The sun is coming in from Aquarius 6, and that is the performer of a mystery play. A masked figure performs ritualistic acts. This is interesting. When we think about rituals, we think about myth, we think about symbology. All that is about as ancient as it gets. Feels like a changing of the guard coming from the old lady getting faced off with the hippie girl that are just diametrically opposed. And then on the other side, we have this mystery of ritual that was really missing in our world. And if you look into that more, you study that more, you just see how rich it is and how beautiful it is. Here's what Burgess had to say. Channeling ancient archetypes in your own unique fashion. Today we see acted out the old rituals that bind a group into awareness of ancient archetypes. And that's Mardi Gras, Easter parades, Father Christmas, Halloween pumpkin, monster stuff like that. And this is because they provide an essential method to raise individuals out of personality and into a collective group consciousness. This is how we learn to surrender ourselves to transpersonal realities with the attendant remembering the awareness of our larger responsibilities. There's really not much connecting us anymore. The music I listened to as a kid was because I listened to my parents' records. I know so many songs because I listened to their CDs, and we listened to the radio, and the radio was playing collective music. And now I was talking to my kid about U2, and he's like, "Who's U2?" And I said, "What? You do not know who U2 is? What have I failed you that badly?" And I said, "No, you have to know this song." So I played, a couple of the famous songs, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I've heard that, but I don't like it." I'm like, "You don't like it?" "No, I don't like it." "What don't you like about it?" "I don't like his voice." Bono? Can you not like his voice? Anyway, what is the point of saying all that? Ritual, that's what I was talking about. Collective experiences, that's what I'm talking about, yeah. So when we don't have these collective experiences, like watching something like Cheers, the last episode of Friends, or whatever it is, or a movie where everybody goes to the movie, we just don't have that much anymore. If we can underlie some sort of collective experience into our communities, it's the way to bond, it's the way to connect and be stronger together. Another thing lions and wolves and coyotes have in common is that they all make loud noises, really, really loud noises. A lion's roar can be heard up to 5 miles away, and there's nothing more iconic than the wolf sound, the howling of the wolf, and the coyotes, if you're a coyote person, with their howling up at the moon. And a wolf's howl can be heard up to 10 miles in radius. That's insane. And get this, each wolf has a very distinctive and specific voice. It's an individual, even within that howling, within that collective. And I've heard that with coyotes too. Like you can hear different sounds in their howling. This makes me want to howl. If the coyotes are howling tonight, I'm doing it. Warning my neighbors. All right, if you're still here, I have one more thing. I have something funny that I wanted to share with you. I was reading about wolves and looking at pictures of wolves, and of course, inevitably, I got distracted by a werewolf picture. There are some badass werewolf pictures on the internet, and it started me thinking about werewolves and why. What's the deal with werewolves? Basically, that's what I Googled. What's up with werewolves? The stuff we know about werewolves. Okay, what do we know about werewolves? 1, full moon. 2, probably bitten by another werewolf. 3, evil, cursed creature. 4, teen wolf. I don't know. There has to be something more to it than these, nightmare creatures, horror story creatures. And of course there was. I did a little more digging and I found it. Just went on Wikipedia. Of course, it was the ancient Greeks that had something cool to say. So here's just a little sampling of 3 things to wet your whistle about werewolves. So weird. Okay, number 1. Lycos of Athens was a wolf-shaped hero whose shrine stood by the jury court, and the first jurors were named after him for jury duty. Wolf pack on the jury duty. Number two, Pliny the Elder recounts another tale of lycanthropy, quoting Euthanthus. How do you say that? Euanthes. Quoting Euanthes, he mentions that in Arcadia, once a year, a man was chosen by a lot of the Anthus clan. The chosen man was escorted to a marsh in the area where he hung his clothes onto an oak tree, swam across the marsh, and transformed into a wolf, joining the pack for 9 years. If during these 9 years he refrained from tasting human flesh, he returned to the same marsh and swam back and recovered his previous human form, with 9 years added to his appearance. Number three, this one's my favorite. Okay, I'm ready. Serious. Not fair that I'm already laughing at this. In a story written in AD 60 by Gaius Petronus Arbiter, one of the characters, Niceros, tells a story at a banquet about a friend who turned into a wolf. He describes the incident as follows. When I look for my buddy, I see he's stripped and piled his clothes. Oh my God, I'm not going to be able to say this. When I look for my buddy, I see he's stripped and piled his clothes by the roadside. He pees in a circle around his clothes and then, just like that, turns into a wolf. After he turned into a wolf, he started howling and then he ran off into the woods. Ancient werewolf stuff. So entertaining. I like you just the way you are. I hope you have a great full moon, Leo. I'll talk to you next time.